Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the topic of the Indian innovation ecosystem. So my name is Lina Rajibali. I work as a trade officer at Business Friends in India, and I'm based in Delhi. So hi. Okay, I guess now you can see my video, right? Perfect. So I hope everyone is connected. Sorry for the few minutes of delay. So we are really happy to have you all here to attend our webinar on the topic of the Indian innovation ecosystem. So the webinar is going to last for an hour, and we have with us a few speakers. So we'll have first an introduction about India, and then I will ask directly some questions to the speakers, and then we'll end the webinar with the Q&A session. So like I said, I work at Business Friends. So Business Friends is the national agency that helps French companies expand internationally. So we're here to support any company willing to actually develop its business in other countries. Here in India, we really wanted to have a webinar on the topic of innovation, given the actual context. Indeed, we do believe that in the face of it, I mean, during crisis, there are a lot of innovations that actually emerge, and India is a major hub for innovation and technology, and has always been a country that has been used to kind of face adversity and find solutions in a constrained environment. So this topic actually makes a lot of sense given the context, and we wanted to also give you an opportunity to identify maybe different kind of opportunities that you might not have thought about, and see if India could be an interesting country for you. So I'll just give you a few information on the slides first. If we can just move to the slides. Yes, perfect. Next one. Perfect. So the objectives of the webinar are to discover the Indian innovation ecosystem, to help you identify opportunities to innovate in India, be it for startups, SMEs, or for investors who are looking for interesting opportunities here, or large corporations willing to kind of discover what is happening here. You will get insights and feedback from experts, and you will get kind of ready for the economic recovery. We have here 4 different speakers who will be joining us this afternoon. So we have Didier Pichon, who's based in France, and he's the president of Surya Digital. So Surya Digital is the French subsidiary of Surya Software Company, which is an IT service company based in India. So he's been working between France and India. Between France and India for more than 20 years, and will have a great experience to share. Then we have Luisa Munareto, who's a VC and entrepreneur. She has founded the Tech AI Impact Invest Paris, Delhi. She's been doing business in India for a couple of years now and regularly invests in startups here. Then we have Swad Tenfish, who's the CEO of Numa Bengaluru. Numa is a Paris-based startup accelerator that has opened different hubs in different countries. They have launched an accelerator and co-working space in Bangalore, which is kind of the Silicon Valley of India. So she'll have also a lot of things to share with us. And she's also the vice president of La French Tech, which is here in India, which is a community that helps foster collaboration between the French and Indian ecosystem. Last but not least, we have Mr. Abhinav Khare, who's the head of corporate venturing and ecosystem innovation at HCL Technologies. HCL is a major IT company, and they've also recently celebrated 10 years of success and innovation in France. They are willing to kind of build a startup ecosystem and work more with startups in India, but also create more bridges with the French ecosystem. So just before we start, I just wanted to give you a few facts and figures about India, and then we'll jump to the questions directly to the speakers. So as you know, India is a very large country. It has 1.3 billion inhabitants, and it's 5 times the size of France. It has emerged as a big economy recently. It's today the 5th largest economy ahead of France and the UK. So it's quite interesting to see what's happening here. In terms of GDP growth, we are aware that, of course, India is going through a kind of economic crisis right now. But according to the IMF, the GDP growth will reach back its 7% by 2021 or 2022. So there are some opportunities that are going to arise also here. We have heard also from a lot of experts that India is actually going to rise as an alternative of China, as a global manufacturing hub, but also as a technological hub, because you will hear it from the experts, but India was initially a country where companies used to come to get to implement their back office or call centers, but now it's really becoming an innovation hub where large companies are actually finding interesting opportunities here. A few numbers that are quite impressive to illustrate the size of the startup ecosystem. So India counts already more than 9,300 startups. It has more than 300 incubators. There's a lot of push that has been done by the government to have more and more supporting organization for the ecosystem. There are 26 unicorns in India, compared to only 5 in France. So Unicorn is a company that is valued more than $1 billion US dollars. So it's also just to give you a little bit of perspective and see how big the ecosystem is here. In terms of funds that have been raised, the VC landscape is also shaping up, and startups have raised more than 4 billion US dollars in 2019. And yeah, last slide, just a few words to kind of spark your interest in India. But you will see that our experts also have a lot to share about it. So India is a young country. Half of the population is actually below 25. It's a connected country. And what's also interesting during this COVID crisis is that the adoption rate of technologies and internet has actually been going faster than ever. There are more rural internet users today than in urban areas in India. So it's actually very interesting. It's a qualified country. There are a lot of prestigious universities here and a real pool of talents that you can also have access to. It's a it's a frugal country. We talked about it, but India is known to find innovative solutions in any environment and with a constrained environment. And it's a tech-savvy country, so a lot to do also with the deep tech and new technologies that are being adopted quickly and quicker than anywhere else. Having said that, we can move on to the questions to the speakers. So I will ask my first question to Didier from Surya. Didier, can you explain us? So you've been working in India for a couple of years, and you have been here for a few decades already. So why did you choose India at the beginning, and how has your perception of India evolved between the moment when you arrive here and now what you're doing with India?
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I first worked in India in 1991, and I was working at this time for Salomon. Salomon is a sports company and ski company. And we had a crisis because we had 3 years without snow in India, in France, and mainly in the US. So we had a big problem. And I was looking for a company which can help us to make the rollout of a system, commercial system everywhere in the world. So I first started to work with a French company, and it was very difficult to find good people and to find people who were able to travel in Japan, in the US, and in other countries in Europe. And I went to India to try to find a company, and I found a small company at this time. So there were only 1,000 people, and we started to work with them. This company was Infosys, and now you know how big is Infosys. And I start to work with them for developing the commercial systems and make the rollout everywhere in the country. So the first thing I would like to say was, working with Indian companies. So that one thing was the flexibility of the people and the talented people we found over there. They were flexible. Obviously, it was cheaper than the IT people we can find in France or in Europe, and many of the people I work with in India really impressed me.
Thank you, Didier, for this. I think now Swad has joined us, if I'm not mistaken. Can you hear us, Swad?
Yes. Hi, Nina. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So hello, welcome to the webinar. So the next question is actually directed to you. We wanted to have your return on experience about. So you've launched Numa here in India. You are at the heart of the ecosystem here, and can you give us your thoughts on what has changed between when you first decided to launch Numa in Bangalore and what you can see, what you have seen now? What are the major changes, and how would you describe the potential of the ecosystem today?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be here with you guys. So I think I started working in India in 2009. But at that time, I was working for Areva, and we were working on the Jaipur nuclear power plant. A lot has happened between 2009 and 2020. In fact, after understanding the innovation scene in India, and especially the startup ecosystem, I got extremely interested in working with the Indian innovators and Indian entrepreneurs in India, especially in Bangalore. Bangalore has been and is still the largest startup ecosystem in India. A lot of great ecosystem and cities are now happening, especially I would say Hyderabad. The Telangana is doing a really great job in helping startups and supporting the startup ecosystem. But I think things are still happening in Bangalore for many reasons, I would say. First is I'd say the legacy, the tech legacy that Bangalore has been, the startup ecosystem on which startup ecosystem has been built on. And so I will come back to that later. So anyway, so in 2012, I decided to move to India, and we started with an Indian entrepreneur here, an Indian investor, a collaborative space. So in 2013, when we started this co-working space for entrepreneurs, very few, I think, I would say maybe we had 2 or 3 of them in Bangalore, 2 or 3 of these co-working spaces, helping entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs, to giving them infrastructures, basically helping them to gather together and help each other. So that was in 2013, 2014. In 2014, I approached Numa in Paris. So for some of you who might not know Numa, Numa is somehow well known in France because I think they really started at the collapse of the dot-com bubble in 2000. They started they kickstarted, I would say, the startup ecosystem in France. At that time they were called Silicon Sentier, and so they were an association, a non-profit association for digital entrepreneurs by digital entrepreneurs. And they grew like this in many years into becoming, I would say, an innovation partners for startups and for large corporates who are trying to work with startups, emulate the way startups innovate, commercialize with startups, etc., etc. And so in 2015, we started Numa in Bangalore. And since then, we've been working with startups. At the beginning, we were a pure player acceleration program. We pivoted into, I would say, an innovation player in general, working with large corporates such as Forestia, Total, Shell, and many others. So that's what we've been doing in the startup ecosystem as Numa. I think I already took a lot of time, but yeah, just to give you like 2 or 3 points about what I have seen since 2015 and a little bit before to now. A lot of things. I would say like when we started, there was a lot of exuberance in everything in the startup ecosystem, in terms of a lot of investment, a lot of craze in the investment, a lot of noise also. We had a lot of wannabe startups, I would say wannabe entrepreneurs, and so this noise I think was characteristic of the beginning of a startup ecosystem, and of course like the lack of infrastructure. I would say the lack also of information, like a lot of asymmetry in the information within the startup ecosystem. All of that has changed at a tremendous pace in the past 5 years. A lot of things have been happening, and I would say that the industry right now, our industry, the startup ecosystem in India, is I mean, like, again, everything that I'm saying is really about is really until this point where COVID-19 hurt us. But sorry, I mean, I think I'm being too long.
Thank you, Swed. So it's interesting to see that you've seen the ecosystem becoming more mature, and now large corporations have actually been starting collaborating with interesting startups here. Is Louisa connected by any chance? I don't know if we can hear her. I'm not sure. Okay, so I'll ask the next question to Mr. Abhinav. So Abhinav is actually working for a large corporation here in India, and you're actually heading the corporate venturing and all the actions towards the ecosystem that HCL is doing. You're scouting startups in India and across the world. Could you actually explain us more? What is your open innovation strategy, and what are the technologies that you're looking for, and how do you collaborate with the ecosystem here or abroad?
Sure. Thank you, Lina. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Perfect. So yeah, we've been we've been closely working with a lot of global and Indian startups, and we've been trying to build an ecosystem. From a strategy perspective, our approach has always been it's customer-centric innovation approach, and how we built this ecosystem or how we operate, it's more like a team which works on the edge. And what I mean with edge is we sort of form a conduit to various partners which form this ecosystem for us. So primarily there are 4 players in this ecosystem that we are trying to build. One of the largest ecosystem that we operate upon and we've been doing business is our vendor ecosystem or a partner ecosystem on the likes of Google, Microsoft, and so on and so forth, Intel, and so on and so forth. So that's there on one side. Then the other side where we work on building this ecosystem is our internal innovation team. So we're a large enterprise, and we have a lot of labs, a lot of customer experience studios. We have a lot of center of excellence where we are innovating specifically for our customers. Then last but not the least is the open ecosystem that we are building. So this includes we're working with various venture capitalist organizations, many trade consulates like yourself, and quite a few of academic institutes that we work with. We currently have, to give you a breadth of this open ecosystem that we built, so we're closely working with around 500 plus startups at this moment, which we have scouted, and I'll explain how startups have a journey in our ecosystem. But then 500 startups, and out of those 500, 100 is something that we've added in the last financial year. And there are 8 VCs that we are working with. To name a few, we are working with Morado Ventures, we are working with Khosla Ventures, and so on and so forth. So that gives a perspective. Now, the team that I lead orchestrates between all these 4 ecosystem partners, and we try to take this entire ecosystem collaborative way to our customers for their specific business needs. You asked about how do we scout and how do we identify startups that can work with us. It's primarily driven by a customer requirement. So the team is constantly in touch with a lot of most of our customers. We have more than 150 global customers across, and more than 15 customers in France as well. So we are in constant touch with them. We are trying to take a sense of trends in terms of technology and business, where these enterprises are moving towards and where they are possibly facing challenges that we can work together with. So we have a good, let's call it an idea pool or a challenge pool, where we've identified where we would need help. And now this help could come from any portion of these ecosystem that we built. It can come in from internal, it can come in from external, and it can come in from our partners as well. So that's how we sort of operate and have a strategy around it. And from the perspective of open ecosystem or open innovation ecosystem, we have as a focus area, we're quite aggressive on areas like fintech, retail tech, healthcare, which is obvious. But then it's primarily driven by what our customers would need. So it's primarily around customer centric, and that's how we approach it. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you very much for this insight. You've mentioned rightly fintech, retail tech, and healthcare, which are definitely sectors that are worth looking at. This takes me to Luisa also, who's just joined us. So Luisa is going to talk about from a VC perspective. So my question to Lisa is more about what are the opportunities that you are actually seeing given the actual context, and what would be your views on what's happening in India actually, and maybe what would be the verticals or the sectors that could be interesting for investors right now.
Yes, Lina, thank you. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this interesting discussion. Before answering to your question, Lina, just as a short feedback about the background in India. I start working with India in 2000. Because as fund manager, I had some portfolio companies making acquisition in India in 2 spaces. One was healthcare and the other one was IT. And then in 2007, I decided to set up an entrepreneurial business in India in the VC space and investment banking space. And taking forward from there, I developed different initiatives in the investment space. Back to the question of Lina, I think that the substance in terms of startups and business models are quite wide in India. The point today is how to build scalability. For a VC standpoint is which business model would be more scalable than others, and which business models could represent a reply, an answer, a feedback to a need of the India ecosystem, and which are also the business models which could be scaled outside India. These are the 2 main points. And how India will be able to attract foreign capitals to accelerate the scalability. So this is the 2 main points which I think the VC are today concentrated on for India.
Okay, and have you identified some sectors or vertical, given the actual context, that would be more interesting than others? And what would be your advice for an investor who would want to come?
Yeah, I think that based on the background of India, of its cultural heritage, which is just not a cultural, but tech is really part of the cultural legacy of the country. There are three main vertical segments in which there is a scalability. The first one, I would say, is e-healthcare, medtech, and this I think trend has been emphasized by the sanitary crisis. So business model similar to Doctolib that we have in France, or teleconsultancy. I would say also monitoring of health at distance. So everything is connected to e-healthcare will have a great future in India. The second area is artificial intelligence for the benefit of, I would say, the mass market. The main example would be Nikki AI, so the artificial intelligence algorithms which are able to translate into vernacular version the websites and the different digital initiatives, so to make it accessible, to increase the accessibility to product and services to new segments of the population which are not English speaking. And the third area would be fintech. But again, fintech dedicated to non-banking people, means people which have not a bank account or are not financial savvy. And so all the segments, all the business model dedicated to this segment would be a scalable and an interesting opportunity for investors.
Thank you very much, Louisa. I will ask the next question to Swad. Swad, you've been running open innovation programs with large companies in India. Could you tell us more about the kind of initiatives that you've seen between large corporations and startups here, and how open and collaborative is this ecosystem right now for other corporations or other startups who would be willing to participate in this dynamic?
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen in since 2015 is this paradigm shift for a lot of MNCs in India, especially I would say again in Bangalore. Bangalore has been called the Silicon Valley of India because of the IT boom, not really because of their startup ecosystem. And so you have many research centers, many basically owned by large MNCs in Bangalore, and of course the entire IT industry. So you have a lot of companies here having their huge IT back offices and this type of things. And so in 2015, what we've seen since 2015, I think we've seen like some sort of recognition from the headquarters of what the innovation power of their offices here in India and of the Indian ecosystem. And so I think one of the examples that we worked with Société Générale early on, like I think we just started in 2015 when we started working with the innovation team in Société Générale, and they tried and created successfully their first ever open innovation program to work with startups called the Catalyst. The Catalyst is really a success, and the way it works basically. they internally figure out what kind of pain points that they are having within their core business and also in the supporting team, and basically you have some sort of triage done on these problem statements, the ones that you know that are core to your business, and you need to tackle them within your team, within the company, the ones that need like urgent care, I would say, and you need to go fast on that. You can't really develop any type of innovation or IP within your company. It takes too long, takes too much resources. So you look at the startup ecosystem, find the right partners there to tackle this point. And again, like other pain points that don't have really an addressable market there. There's not anything that really means business there. It's a pain point that is maybe like it's a secondary phases that you would tackle that. And so, they come up with this pain point, send that to the startup ecosystem, and usually the startup ecosystem comes up with not only interesting ways of lean, agile ways of and very, very disruptive ways of tackling these internal issues, but they also like come up with things that you were not expected. And so that's really what I've seen in all the program, the corporate innovation that have conducted within NUMA or externally where I participated in ways. Most of the time, the large corporates have a clear idea of what they want, and there are always this issue of really being clear about the solution that you want, and most of the time they are very surprised by the type of innovation that exists in the startup ecosystem and how well they can innovate with this new type of economic partners about the startups. So Société Générale does that, and in fact it was the Catalyst was so successful in India that they brought it to Africa and they launched the Catalyst in Africa. The first for Rolls-Royce, the first ever acceleration program that they've done it has been decided that it's going to be in India, and so we have them launch their acceleration program in India. And again, it's because they can rely on two different things. First, the agility and I'd say the frugal innovation that is the way that is, I mean, the frugal way that India innovates and the way the startup innovate in India, and also I would say the culture within their companies here. I've met many I'd say Indian corporate teams here in these large corporates, and once you really demonstrate with the startups that they can help and this is how they can help, there is like, I mean, I would say the barriers they just fall down basically, and I would say that it's less complicated to here in India, I would say, to really like demonstrate the innovation power of startups and start incorporating this work, this new innovation methodology for the companies. So I think like the key of all these open innovation programs lays in creating the right interface between the corporate teams and the startup teams. But once you made it happen, then kicks in the frugal innovation, the Indian frugal innovation ways, and so I've seen that happens many times. Again, most of these pain points still are not core to what the companies are doing. The large companies are doing here in India. Most of the time, is really to tackle inefficiencies. So there's a lot of money to gain there, but most of the time it's about inefficiencies. How to be a leaner organization. How to leverage the digital innovation to do my work faster and smarter, basically.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Swad. I'll ask a question to Didier. Didier, you're actually one example of a company who came to India at the beginning for let's say find a technological partner, but you were mentioning that you also kind of are also benefiting from this innovation, and you found many other things. Can you tell us more about your story and what are the benefits of actually working with the Indian ecosystem?
Okay, so as I told you before, so I started to work with India in '91, and I first started working with them just on the project development and all these things. And after my experience with Salomon, I moved to a large, as a CIO for a large luxury good company, French one. And we wanted to work with the Indian company and build an extension of our IT organization over there in India for mainly two reasons. One was to have a footprint in India and capture all the development, the technology, and have a link with the University of Bangalore. And the other one is to build a large organization to develop and work on the main program we had to develop in this luxury good company. And after that, I left the company, and I asked my partner to build an organization in France. And this organization is Surya Digital. And what we are doing in France, so we build a link between the customers and the Indian organization and the company, which is Surya in India. And the main problem we wanted to fix with this organization in France is the communication between the customer and the IT organization in India. So working for more than 30 years in India, so the main problem we have to face with working with offshore and large organization and an IT organization in India is the communication. And we want to bridge the gap between the technology, and we can find good technology, good people and technology in India, obviously, and the customers, and bridging this gap. So we want to we build a dedicated organization in France to support that. And we want to support two kinds of customers. One is large customers, and we can build large organization in India, like I did with the luxury good company, which is a dedicated organization with to maintain, support, and make the development of a program. And the other one is to capture all the innovation we can have in India. And especially now we are working in artificial intelligence with many new things and the apps development, these kind of things. And it's a very flexible organization. The other part of what we can do, we are working with many startups. And we want to release the pressure on the startup. When you manage a startup, you have many things to do. And as soon as you have customers and you start to sell, you lose a part of your innovation, and you lose a part of your, the main focus of the startup, which is to develop, to have the innovation. And we can help the startup to develop their own program, their own organization, and they can work with us and develop their organization in India, in Bangalore. We have very strong connection in Bangalore with the university, Bangalore University, on many areas. And I really think that Bangalore is the right place to have all this innovation in place. And having an organization in Bangalore who can capture and talk to many companies who are very innovative, and also the university is a big plus compared to other places in the world.
Thank you very much, Didier. We are already receiving a few questions. And we had received some of the questions ahead of time from participants. So I'll ask one of the questions to Abhinav. So the question was, how do you see the corporate venture capitalism evolving post-COVID, and what strategies would be the best for open innovation, from the perspective of HCL, for example?
So yeah, it's interesting time, and what we believe, and uh, in the time to come, there'll be a lot of focus on technology. Uh, Technology was seen as an enabler, maybe pre-COVID, but we're seeing a huge, tremendous, uh, force around technology becoming the centerpiece, and businesses wrapping around the technology, and the new normal would be based on technology. So I believe there's interesting time ahead, and I share the same sentiments, that the conversation that we've been having with the venture capitalist. So I've never heard that the investments are stopping, or they've taken a decision not to invest. Yes, but the criterias might change in terms of the technology the startup is adopting, and how their go-to market is, and there are recommendations going to startups to how to operate, and in the lines of how to control cash at this moment. But there's interesting time ahead. A lot of things would change. There'll be new areas, new business models that will be evolving. So that's the sentiments that we are hearing, and we are also a little bullish about technology progress, and we'll maintain that. I hope that answers.
Yes, for sure. So if I'm a technological company in France, let's say, how can they approach you and start collaborating with you at HCL?
I mean, a short answer to that would be, I mean, for French startups, how with any regional startups that we work with, the first point of contact for us is the trade consulate. I mean, like for France, it could be you. People can reach out to you, and you can make introductions. We'll be happy to receive introductions. There are specific areas of interest for us, which we can collaboratively expose. I mentioned about fintech and health tech, and these are the areas that we are currently focused on. And one of the to give you an example, so we are running few campaigns internally and externally as well. So some with our partners, with Microsoft, and some internally, which is sponsored by my team. So, I mean, what we are doing is we're trying to educate a lot of our customers to how to maintain business continuity in tough times. So we're running a regular campaign every week, or every fortnightly. We are promoting our startups, which can contribute to our customers in maintaining their business continuity. So we're happy to receive any nominations, and we can promote them. So that's one. That's near term current, which is active, and there are many initiatives that keep on happening. So how we work with startups is that every startup that connects with us uh, goes through a journey. So it's like you remain in a scout pool, and based on the customer requirements and the programs that we are engaged in, these startups move into an explore phase, where these startups are pretty close to what customers are asking, and they get introductions to customers along with us. They also get introductions to our various internal teams. So the idea is that how can we join forces? We can make solution better, provide support to startups. We essentially operate like an accelerator. So imagine that we join forces in terms of product integration, service integration. We provide scale, not in terms of just deployment, but enhancing your product as well. So we have a big engineering team. A lot of startups have come to us for product enhancement also. So engineering and R&D support is something that we can offer. And of course, aside to the point that I've said, that we take you to the customer. So that's how we sort of explore, and there are a lot of ways that we are exploring. There are a lot of RFPs that we are receiving recently, where we've bid in the RFPs with this innovation ecosystem that we have. There are a lot of problem statements. We have given examples, and we run a lot of customer facing hackathons and webinars internally, and then we educate our customers that what is the pool that we have. So that's how we sort of explore jointly with our customers. And once it's like a funnel, and at the end there are startups which have matured, who are doing regular business with us. There are startups where we've invested also. We have done joint ventures. We've done investments, 2 rounds of investments, and they've become proper GTM with us. And these startups, some of them are doing, like 100 million revenue each year with us. So they become part of our the vendor ecosystem. So that's how the startup gets connected, and that's the journey that startup goes ahead with this.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. There is a question for Swad that just came up. Swad, considering the current circumstances, what do you think is the focus for corporate innovation programs?
Okay, so it's a good question. In fact, I think we've seen 2 different responses to the COVID-19 situation, to these circumstances, from an innovation point of view on large corporates. Like, I think it was very polarizing. So a lot of large corporates understand that now, like it's now or never, in terms of digital transformation, of efficiency gain through digital means, etc. But I think everyone understood that it's a time where you need to upskill your teams, upskill your people. I think there's no coming back. Like we need all to become digitally fluent, and so we work with a lot of large corporations trying to upskill in the smarter way, I'd say, their people. And so when I say smarter way, I think it's something that we truly believe. We believe we believe on learning by doing, basically. And so working on innovation, working as a team on innovation on a digital platform. So we've created many workshops just to basically help people be innovative and be able to work as a team on a digital platform. That is really like a huge constraint for them, because you have to learn to really be digital fluent. And again, I think like a lot of open innovation programs right now are dedicated to be leaner, to really strongly emulate the efficiency of startups. Now the constraints that startups have been having forever, in terms of scarcity of resources, scarcity of time, etc. That's the reason why I guess we have accelerated programs for them. All of that can be now applied to a lot of large corporates, and I think that there's a lot to learn for large corporates on looking at what and how startups are dealing with that. I think, like for example, one specific characteristic of the startup ecosystem and of startups in general are their ways of coming back. Like this is really important. So this resilience that is core for startup. This is something that is very true also, and I think very true, even more true in India. India is resilient. India has this culture of resilience, culture of frugality. And this is very much aligned with what a startup is, and I think that really, like right now, like a lot of large corporates, I would say, approach us. I think for upskilling means for their people, for basically leaner ways of working, and so and tackling inefficiency that can right now be fatal for a lot of them. And again, like this is something that I think this is not about, again, technology. This is something that we believe very strongly at Numa. We believe that innovation is not a matter of technology. It's really a matter of culture. And when I say culture, it's really the way you work with people, the way you look at your pain points, the way you look at your resources, how you allocate your scarce resources, how you believe that a pain point and an issue is an opportunity. And this way of looking at this, I would say, historical moment that we are all living in,
Yes.
looking at this, even as painful as it can be, looking at it as a land of opportunities that is opening for us. This is really what we are trying to push, and really I think this is the right way of looking at the way of today looking at open innovation. The worst thing that I would really think that a company can do right now is shut down their innovation and think that and just break and don't look forward. And so yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So your advice would be to actually reinforce the innovation part in companies right now. It's kind of now or never. I can see that we only have 5 minutes left, so I'll just ask for like a closing remarks to our speakers. If you had one advice to share to the various participants that are actually listening to us and are actually interested in what's happening here in India, given the actual context, what would it be? I'll start with Didier, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So the main advice I will give is working with an Indian company is not so easy sometimes. So we have to start small with a proof of concept on a project or organization, and I really think that it will be a success if you find the right partner to work with you. I think technology is absolutely not a problem in India. You can find all the technology available, all the people who are managing this technology, and you can find so many companies in India who can help you. But the main point is to build the link between your problem in France and your problem in your company, and after that using the technology in India. So if you are able to find a partner who can help you to do that, and if you start with a partner who can help you with a proof of concept on a project, on supporting your technology or developing a new technology or all these things, and you start like that, and you're gonna learn. You will learn from on your side. They will learn on the Indian side, and after that we will grow. I can give you a clear example in numbers. When I was working for the luxury good company, I start with the company, and we start with only 5 people working for us in India, and we build a center of excellence in India, and now there are 300 people working for this dedicated company. So I think it's a very good way to work. Start small, build the trust, and after that you're going to grow, and you can address all the technology issues you will have in your company with a footprint in India with that. So we will be very pleased to help you on that.
Thank you very much, Didier. Louisa, what would be your advice?
The advice would be very pragmatic, which there is the business connection between France and India today are not really visible or important, and we think that the first sector in which this bridge can be built is healthcare. We have powerful French groups in India, but these groups are not really part of the Indian ecosystem in the healthcare. So they leverage India just on the outsourcing part, but the advice would be really to encourage these corporates to participate to the innovation ecosystem in healthcare in India, and to contribute, combining the knowledge, the French know-how in the space with the local requirements and also the local know-how in the space.
Thank you, Louisa. Swad, would you have a last advice to give to all the participants?
Yes. So I think my advice is don't be afraid. I think this is my advice. The future is about hyper collaboration. So we have to redefine the way we're going to be working together. The world has never been as flat as today. I work in the same way today if you are, well, I work with you in the same way if you are sitting in Paris, in London, or next in my neighborhood in Bangalore. So basically, like, it's the time really to hyper collaborate, find your peers wherever they are, wherever continent they might be. India is really right now the right place to be for many reasons, and one of them is because I would say the level, the tech talent that the world needs to fuel the aftermath of to fuel the after COVID-19 is still here. And again, like the tech talent, the pool of tech talent that has been fueling the Silicon Valley is also from India. And I think right now, and I think this is the point that us, La French Tech in India, we are trying to. La French Tech in India are trying to bring is the fact that I would say the Indian ecosystem and the French ecosystem have a lot to do together. We are very similar, I would say, in what makes sense, what is important for us from a cultural point of view. As Vika was saying, that academic performance can be found on both sides of the table, and this is really, like, we really need to work on our strengths, work together, and bring up something that I would say was something that we couldn't do before, because all the players were already in place, and all the countries and the different ecosystems in different countries were already in place. Today is really the day to seize this opportunity, even if it's a painful opportunity to seize. We're going through difficult times. So this is my advice. Don't be afraid. It's time for you to find your partners in India, grow together fast. Everyone is willing right now to hyper collaborate with you. And again, La French Tech is trying to do that. We are seeing already French startups, French unicorns will be coming to India, finding their teams here, leveraging what India can, the power that India can bring to your growth. So yeah, don't be afraid, and now is the time, I'd say.
Thank you so much, Swad. This is quite a positive and dynamic advice. Last but not least, Abhinav, if you have anything to share for our participants.
Yeah, a quick one. So I really agree with all the speakers today. Just to bring my perspective, of course, collaboration is important, and this is the right time for collaboration, and we are open. Reach out to us if you have a effective solution. We'll be more than happy to accelerate your solution to our customers. And to sum it all, I mean, let's be optimistic. At least what we can take from today's situation is that pre-COVID, if you see, at least everyone today is on a common thought process of how do we come out of this situation. Everybody is talking about it's on the common same perspective. So this is encouraging sign. It has never happened in near-term history or a long-term history. So everybody is open to collaborate. We are open to collaborate. Stay courageous, and we'll get out of this situation soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all our speakers. We have received a couple of other questions that we will make sure the speaker can answer to you via email, and also the questions that we had received yesterday. Thank you so much to all the participants and the speakers. I guess the main word is come to India and come collaborate here, because there are plenty of opportunities. So feel free to reach out to us and to the speakers as well. Just a last slide, if we can have the slide on the screen, to give you our contact details. So this is the team that we have here in India working on technology and innovation. We are spread across the country between Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, and Delhi. So feel free to reach out to us. We are here to support you and explore together opportunities here. The webinar is recorded and will be available on our website as well as on the social networks. And maybe a few words about the next events that are happening organized by our department. We have 2 other webinars coming up in June about distribution and consumption. So another angle of the economy that is actually also being completely transformed. So you'll hear about it on the 2nd of June and on the 11th of June. We have published a market study about 5G opportunities in India and are going to publish a white paper on the Indian innovation ecosystem. So stay tuned and follow us on LinkedIn to have the latest updates. Speaking about events and collective mission that we're actually trying to build for the second semester of the year, we'll have a special event on telecom for telecom companies who want to come to India, and we'll have an open innovation mission as well by the end of this year for any French company willing to explore opportunities here in the innovation ecosystem. So thank you again, everyone, for attending the event. I hope this was interesting and has sparked your interest in India. We remain at your disposal, of course, if you have any questions. And thank you again, and take care, everyone. Thank you.